Today I'm going to be trying to clean up a pistol for my brother who wants to sell it. He asked if I'd take it to a gun show and sell it for him. It's a llama version of a 1911, and looks like it's lived a pretty full life. I'm sure he bought it used. He's had it for years and years. Never used it, figured it was time to get rid of it. So I'll see if I can get it cleaned up. It's pretty rough shape. I don't know what that number scratched in on there is. I'm wondering if it's the social security number of a previous owner or something. If they did, well, they shouldn't have put their social security number on it and then sold it. But this thing looks like it's been stored in the bottom of a sandbox or cat box or something. It's pretty grody. So I'll take it apart, check everything out, and then put it in the ultrasonic cleaner, see how it looks internally. Yeah. Pretty rough, but what do you expect? So, a lot of rust on this thing. And the trigger is real hard for a 1911. They typically 3.5 to 5 pounds. This one's, good God, that's a solid 9 or 10 pounds. Let's try that again. Yeah, I don't know if that's just inherent of that model, because I've never owned a llama version, or if it's just because it's so grimed up inside. We'll clean it up and see what happens. Okay, well, took the grip panels off, and they're not too bad. They'll need some generic cleaning, but totally salvageable, they look like. The thing was in a locked cabinet, but no telling what it was exposed to before it was put in that cabinet. He's had it for decades. So we'll continue on, disassemble it, strip it down, and get it into the ultrasonic cleaner. Well, the first thing I noticed, this is the shortest recoil spring I've ever encountered on a 1911 style pistol. That is real short and not real strong. He stacks up pretty quick. He's not a lot of travel, but he does build up quite a bit as he travels. When that link actually sticks, he's binding up. Yeah. Other than that, it's pretty standard 1911 style collet, plunger, plug. Everything else looks pretty normal. Slide stop. That may be actual 1911 spec. I honestly don't know. But inside, it looks like an old 70 series. I'm sorry, pre-70 series Colt or government style-ish. With some weirdness with the screws and such. That's not normal. But, you know, if it works, it works. So let's get into the ultrasonic cleaner with some water and some Mr. Clean and see what we can do with it. Okay, well, this is a little inexpensive ultrasonic cleaner. You've seen it before when I was reclaiming the head to that ball peen hammer that was 100 plus years old. And all I'm using in it is just Mr. Clean, your standard multi-service cleaner. You use it for floors or whatever. You can use a lot of different things in an ultrasonic cleaner. I've used Mr. Clean. I've used Pine Sol or Lysol. I'd have to check and see which one it was. I've used Simple Green. You don't want to use something that foams up a bunch. You don't want to use Dawn or something like that, because it will suds up and just take over the entire house. So let's get the pieces in there and settle them down. This thing's small enough. I should have got the bigger ultrasonic cleaner out. I won't be able to do the slide. Yeah, I will. And the frame at the same time. No, I won't. So we will just start with him for now. Turn him on, and you're liable to see gunk just floating off of the gun just in a matter of no time. Yeah, I don't know if you can really see it on camera, but up around the top of the frame and all, there's little clouds. You can see it clouding up pretty good right in there now too. Just a lot of gunk in that thing. We'll let him run for a while and see how he looks. Okay, we're at about a minute and a half, and you can see a bunch coming off back in here and inside the little nooks and crannies of the frame. And you can see how cloudy overall the water is getting. The camera is actually doing quite a bit of correcting. That water is really dirty. It doesn't look as dirty on camera as it really is. Okay, that's 3 minutes in the cleaner. And that water is really nasty. I haven't even scrubbed it, and you can see all the gunk gone that was along the frame there. That is doing a ton of good. I'm going to put him back in there. After I swap out that water. I'm going to put some clean water in that and start over. He is pretty, you know what? No, I'm not. Before I swap out that water, let's put the slide and the other things in there, give them a first pass on that dirty water. Then we'll swap it out to clean. And again, that's just warm water. It's not hot. With just that little dab of Mr. Clean in it. And start them up again. And again, it's not showing up great on camera, but there's a lot of gunk just floating off the barrel and the slide both. The other stuff doesn't look too bad. The plunger and the bushing and the slide stop, but there's a lot of gunk built up in that barrel and in the nooks and crannies of the slide as well. So we'll let him run 3 minutes like we did the frame, put some clean water in it, and start over and see where we are. Yeah, we're about 2 minutes into the 3-minute cycle here. And again, it's not really showing up on camera that well. My phone's doing a pretty good job of compensating for light, but that water is really murky and cloudy, and there's a lot of junk coming out of the end of the barrel on the bottom side of the slide there. That's removing a lot of gunk. Okay, so that's the end of the first 3 minutes in the dirty water of the second batch of parts. Yeah, there was a lot of just sediment type gunk built up in there that's just gone now. That's mostly rust in there, not dirt. Okay, well, I'm going to change the water, run all the parts through a second batch of the cleaning, and for a little $84 Harbor Freight ultrasonic cleaner. That thing has more than paid for itself over the years. Okay, well, before I dump out that water, that's from the first batch right there. And that was clean when I started. All those little spots, that's not staining. That's gunk off of that gun. So, let me swap out the water, do it again, and maybe that'll do it. Okay, we're back for the second run through, and you can see I've cleaned out the bottom of that. It's completely clean. This guy's still a little dirty, but oh well. But the inside of the pan, you can see, is totally clean and good to go. And again, just another little splash of Mr. Clean, not a whole bunch. And this time I'll run the slide and the other pieces first, give them kind of first dibs on the clean water this time. And start him up. I don't know if you can see it. There's a very little bit of coming off from underneath the barrel right there. But other than that, there is not much coming off of it this time. Looks like that first run through by itself pretty much did everything it needed to do, and that's a good sign. Okay, well, let's see what we got. I think he's as good as he's gonna get, at least without some manual scraping, but there's not even anything coming off there. The barrel, how's that link changed at all? He's still sticking like he was. I think he's a little tight right in there. Yeah, I may mess with him a little bit, but let me get these swapped out. Put the frame back in there for another go through. And that'll probably be all she needs. Is it appropriate to call a 1911 a she? Well, they are finicky, so. Over 2 minutes, a little over 2 minutes into the 3 minutes, and there's not much of anything happening there. The water isn't hardly dirty. There's a little bit of dirt spots down in the bottom there, but nothing's floating off, so that's a very good sign. Looks like we may be doing all right. Take some of that and see if I can do something with these grips while we're waiting on that. Don't tell the Collectors Guild or other associated fudge that I'm using Mr. Clean on wooden grips. They would stroke out and not know how to handle themselves. You have to keep in mind, I'm not restoring some antique or collectible. I'm cleaning up something old and dirty. And if you also notice, there's no recesses around the grip screws for bushings like a normal 1911 has. This frame doesn't have bushings, it just has threaded holes in the frame itself. So it's not a complete 1911 copy, but they got it so it looks like one. So let me get him cleaned up and dried off and oiled up and see what we have to work with here. But he looks so much better. It's stunning. This stuff was, there was a bunch of it, but it wasn't ground in real hard. It came off pretty quick and easy. There's been stuff I've had to run 5 or 6 times to the Ultrasonic. So this one wasn't that bad. And we'll see if it did anything for that silly trigger pull. That was completely unacceptable. All right, let me turn this off. I'll reassemble it and see what we got. Okay, well, got him reassembled. Haven't oiled him completely yet, but he looks leaps and bounds better than he did. There's still some surface rust, but I'm not sure how much of that I'll be able to get rid of. The grips even look better. All that caked on gunk, you know, the cracks and seams is gone. The trigger, oh, that's better. That's, yeah, that's not great. It's still 5 or 6 pounds, but that's a whole lot better than the at least 9 or 10 that it was. So, do a little more surface cleaning to him. He's still got, he can just use a little more care. But he's much more saleable now and probably more functional. I'll get him cleaned up, oiled up, and test him out and see what we can do with this. Okay, let's see what this thing can do. When I got it from my brother, it didn't have a magazine. Fortunately, it will use regular old 1911 magazines. This is an old USA brand I bought 30 plus years ago. Just got 3 rounds in him. That'll work.